back to the Emerald Codex. I am Dell, your host. You can find me on Twitter. At @theworkshoot, and we are sitting here with a good friend of ours, Chris, and he is available on Twitter at Brightworm with a Y. Chris, you want to say hello?
Hey guys.
Wonderful. So Chris is going to be our little helper talking with us today about the Malkavian clan. If you haven't had a chance to talk to them before, or talk about the Malkavians before, they are the crazies, correct?
That's right. They're the lunatics is a better way to put that, I think.
Well, isn't lunacy actually a moon-based flaw?
It is, and since the Malkavians live only at night, that is where the crazy comes out.
Awesome. Well, let's go right to the "Are you getting enough oxygen?" question. What is the best thing about playing a Malkavian?
Honestly, the best thing about playing a Malkavian in a LARP is a little undefinable. It is the fear that playing a Malkavian engenders in the person role-playing opposite of you. Like, you don't take into account how subtly you having a character who is known for madness affects the interactions of those around you. Whether or not you're particularly good at it, the effect is there regardless. It might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing, but it's like an aura that surrounds the character that just changes any other clan interactions that you might think you're used to. That's the best thing about it, because it is also, like the Malkavian clan, a little unpredictable.
Like, you bring word that the Sabbat are about to invade and people don't take you at your word, or?
You know, it's interesting. Part of it is a sense that you're crazy. Don't listen to that guy. He's just spouting nonsense and gibberish. But at the other side of it, there's sometimes you'll say something small and insignificant, perhaps even to you as the player, that will become something that another character or another player latches onto as a truth or an insight, whether you intended it to be or not.
And it makes a story out of something you didn't even maybe mean to say.
It does all the time, and there's a weight to your words as a Malkavian, or a lightness, if you want to go the opposite direction, in the, don't listen to that guy, he's crazy, that, again, unpredictable, you're not sure who's going to take you seriously, and sometimes that is frustrating, and sometimes it's kind of perfect.
So this question's a lot easier for Toreadors and Venture to answer, but what is a good archetype for your clan? And to take the question in the opposite way, what is an overdone and boring trope for your clan?
I think the hints that are provided in the source material for Malkavian, speaking specifically of the clan book, and then also a little-known book that I personally really like called States of Grace, is that in the old days, to be crazy was not to be mentally unbalanced, it was to be possessed. When you were crazy, in olden times, everyone believed that you had a demon in you, or an unclean spirit, or something like that, and you were treated in such a way as if it could be exorcised from you, they could leech it out of you, they could beat it out of you, etc. Madness is not looked at like that in the modern day, just in the real world. It is, a treatable illness at this stage. But I think the Malkavian truth is that there's something more in there, in the back of your head, that is sort of a living, almost like the beast in Vampire.
An extra set of whispers.
An extra set of whispers, and that comes out in Malkavian time in a practical game setting, but it also, I think, drives the character. So the archetype, I think, just to come back to your question, is someone that is listening to something or someone else, and may or may not be good at explaining what they're hearing, because it comes from this deep primal place. And that is always an interesting Malkavian. What's a terrible trope is what is known as the fish Malk. You wear a bathrobe, you talk to your stuffed animals, etc., etc. Anybody that's played in a LARP knows what that is. But I've also seen someone take that concept of the fish milk, who is an actually excellent role player, and turn that on its head and and actually create another sort of layer of terrifying on top of that. Character played by Adam Johnson in our LARP, Mr. Malton.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So, you can still play on that side of the silliness and still get results, because he was a terrifying character. He was a very effective Malkavian, and so there's some leeway there.
Yeah, one of the things I talked about on the Nosferatu cast was that we're all here to embarrass ourselves and play fake vampires on Saturday night. We have no dignity left, so so just go for it. And I think in some cases, even if you're playing that fish milk, like you said, if you really go for it and really sink yourself into it, it can turn out okay. So this is kind of an oddball question. So like Marquis de Sade is clearly a Toreador. Nikola Tesla is a Tremere. What's a good real-life Malkavian? What's a good example of a Malkavian in media or in real life that you would draft if the clans were drafting characters?
Honestly, that's a difficult question, because madness is seen in so many ways to be a trope in itself, and modern media takes that a little too far sometimes as well. But if you want to see some good depictions of madness in media that are entertaining and also a little enlightening at the end of things, take a look at Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys. He's crazy. He's not at all his normal, surfer self, and he knows something's really going on. Take a look also at A Beautiful Mind. Take a look also at Girl Interrupted. Take a look also at those types of things. One of my favorite films to talk about a specific type of madness, Memento. Yeah, that's a fantastic concept. Super difficult to play in a LARP. I don't know if I'd want to do it.
You might be able to do it in a one-shot or in a contained game.
But those things take a concept of a particular mental situation, and they place someone dealing with that into a real-world situation. It's not all about what's going on in the madhouse. It's not all about the sort of trite, I exist in the asylum, and I live in the asylum, and all the other people are crazy here too, type of a thing. That kind of horror setting has its place, and I don't necessarily dislike it. But in a LARP, you need to be interacting with the, quote, real world of the LARP. You need to be a person who has this madness speaking to people that don't,
Okay, so that leads me, I'm actually going to skip ahead to a fairly interesting and long question. How do you play your clan flaw? And this is going to be kind of the linchpin of the whole podcast. And I do want to point out that, personally, the worst thing I've seen in a Malkavian is somebody who flips through the DSM-4, finds a cool mental disorder, and that becomes their gimmick, rather than just generalized lunacy like you talked about. So, how do you go about your clan's flaw?
Well, again, I'll take it back to the definitions of madness over time. Again, the idea of madness as a possession, as a whisper in the back of your mind, and then of course there's the the DSM strict, this is what madness is. We are entertaining, right? So you could go to a book of mental disorders and you could find out how, to accurately portray a mental disorder. And sometimes people that have legitimate mental disorders that are, low-end functional mental disorders find Malkavian players and the way that disorders are described in books like this to be insulting or whatever. But we do have to realize it's still entertainment. We're still talking about the entertainment value of engaging in a fake world. So I don't think it's necessary to go to a book and accurately portray a madness. What I think is necessary to do is, if you're going to play a good Malkavian, is build the whatever derangement you have and that you're sort of collecting your character around into their personal mythology. So whatever that may be, if you choose megalomania, that means you are the greatest creature in the world, and you may or may not feel the need to prove that. So you might want to come up with some victory conditions. How do you prove that you are the greatest creature of all time? Whether that makes sense to other characters in the game, it doesn't need to. You may decide that your victory condition for Megalomania is that you own a house in every domain in the city that you've made back alley deals with all the Primogen to get, so that you can work on your geomancy and tie all of these homes together into a crackling, energetic ball of crazy. Your end goal may be to upload yourself to the Malkavian Madness Network. Your end goal may be to proselytize the future because you have this oracular tendency, and to use your ability to see the real or fake future to manipulate politics. Whatever your goal is, it needs to be created around a mythology that's based on your character's motivations, and that derangement needs to be as important as putting your shoes on when you're getting into character.
Okay. So, kind of leading from that, who does your clan generally embrace from, and why? Is there a particular, like a Toreador is going to go after either an artist or a critic, generally? Is there a feeder system to the Malkavian clan that they embrace from?
Well, the Malkavian Clan Book Revised talks about this a little bit, and it says that they're mercurial in their choices. Some might embrace while they are in a fugue, while they are in the throes of their derangement, might not recognize they've done it. Some might embrace because of some symbology that only they understand that happened to occur. Like they played a hand of cards and it came up all diamonds, and they saw a girl in a club wearing diamonds, and that's now their childhood. Or they could be absolutely very methodical, like they have something specific to their derangement or something specific to their just general character that they're looking for. They can be pragmatic. They can say, I need someone that's very good at paperwork, or I need someone that's very good at politics, because I need to allow myself to jump inside my crazy and learn all of the things that my crazy has to offer. So I need someone to take care of the day-to-day and make sure to wipe my brow of the blood sweat when I wake up with visions, and also, translate to the prince whenever I speak to him in cones. And so it can be some